guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with my July wrap-up. I read 27 books, one of which was a novella. I did DNF a book. I DNF'd Still Waters by Anne Malcolm. It's downstairs, and I've been up and down the stairs 4 times because I keep on forgetting things, so I'm not going down again. But that one is supposed to be an MC romance. It had a really pretty cover. I got it at Half Price Books, and I got the second one too at Half Price Books. I got 200 pages into it, and I'm just like, I can't. I was like, I'll speed read the rest, I'll skim through it, and I was like, I don't want to spend another 200 pages skimming. It just like was not holding my attention. The writing was too flowery, like way too many metaphors and internal dialogue. So I DNF'd that, but I have 27 books to get to, so I'm just going to go ahead and get to it. I'm going to try to speed through it, not spend too much time on each book because this is about to be a very, very long video. The first book I have to share with you is an ebook that I got as an e-arc, and that is One Little Lie by Whitney Barbetti. I keep on wanting to say One Tiny Lie because that's the Kay Tucker book. It's One Little Lie, and this one is about a girl who is in college, and I think her dad's like the mayor or something, and they have been pressuring her to date and get in a relationship with someone that they approve of. And what happens is she comes up with this lie. For the past 2 years she said she's had a boyfriend, but it's been casual, so she can't date anybody they want to set her up with. And her friend basically says it's this other guy that's her boyfriend who she really liked in high school, but then she did something and he's hated her ever since. And so now she has to fake date him to get her parents off her back and to help him out for a certain reason. I thought this was okay. I really enjoyed the beginning, but then it just got too long and drawn out. I gave it 3 stars. The characters were okay. I kind of was annoyed with him for why he didn't like her so much. It wasn't really something she could control and that was realistic, but it had to do with like his own insecurities. So 3 out of 5 stars. I had really high expectations and it just didn't really meet them. Then I read Say No to the Duke by Eloisa James. This is book 4 in the Wild series, I believe. I only have read this one though. They can all be read as standalones. This is the sister story, and she, ever since I think her mom left her dad, and she hasn't wanted that kind of reputation, and so she has been like the height of society, perfect woman, and every man wants to marry her, and she has made it her like reputation to say no to everybody. No one's been good enough for her until this duke ends up proposing, and she's considering saying yes. And then what happens is though she is kind of falling for this other guy who I believe is like enemies of the duke. I don't really remember. This is getting foggy after reading 27 books this month, but I really enjoyed it. I actually read 28 books. I didn't even put this on my list of books that I read in my bullet journal, so there's that. But let me look and see what I rated this. I think I gave it 4 stars. I ended up giving this 4 stars. It did kind of slow down like near the middle-ish part, but I thought it was really fun, and I can't wait to read the rest of the books in this series. The next book you guys are going to be excited for, I read Monster in His Eyes by J.M. Darrower. This is a mafia romance, and this girl's in college and she meets this guy. I swear, I think I read the beginning on Kindle Unlimited because that exact scene I've read before. So I think I started this book on my Kindle last year and just never ended up finishing it because I think I was on vacation and I just like didn't renew my Kindle Unlimited. So I vividly remember that beginning scene, but she ends up meeting this guy and then she's kind of like swept off her feet by him. He's a lot older, has a lot of secrets, and this was okay. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't as like thrilling as I wanted it to be. Nothing like exciting happened until more near the end, and I cannot understand how her and her friend are basically, they literally are drugged in the beginning, and her friend dates the guy who drugged them. She didn't tell her friend not to date him or that like he literally drugged them. And that was like something I had a problem with. I was like, how can you stand being in the same room as the guy who drugged you? I give it 4 out of 5 stars though. It was decent. It wasn't as amazing as I wanted it to be, but it was pretty good. The next book, I ended up reading 3 more of the Ice Planet Barbarians on audio because script cut me off, so I could only listen to 3. I read Barbarian Lover, which is book 3. This is the book about the girl who had the translator in her ear. I'm not going to say too much about the plot because they all blend together by now to me, but I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I've only given one of the books 5 out of 5 stars. That's one I just read and that I finished yesterday, so it's going to be my August wrap-up, but this one was good, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Not going to get into the plot. If you want to read this series, you should. It's alien sci-fi romance, and it's really good. The next book I picked up is because I have a copy from Berkeley Romance, and that is The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. This is book 3 in the Wedding series. I really liked book 1. I gave book 2 4 stars, and unfortunately I gave this book 3 stars. It's Maddie and Theo. They hate each other. but it was for a stupid reason that like she misinterpreted who he was, and so she was being really snobby about that. And then they were just physical and they didn't want to get too serious, and just like both of the other ones, they didn't want to be too serious with each other, and they were like hesitating because they're like, am I being too serious? Am I sending the wrong signals? I don't know. I want her to write a new kind of romance and not the, oh, we're dating but not really, we're just like using each other because we don't want to date because we're not in that place. She did that in every single one of her books. So gave her 3 to 5 stars. The ending was cute. I liked Alexa's part in that, but I'm really excited for book 4 to see if she can bring something new to the table. Then I read a YA, and I read Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I was sent this from the publisher. This is an ARC, but I also sent a finished copy. This one you guys probably have all heard. It's about this pox that's come, I think it's the pox, that's come to this all-girls school and created these like bodily morphing things. So one girl has an extra spine, one girl's eye is completely like eroded, one girl's covered in scales, and there's like runners whose job, there's like 3 girls whose job it is to go out and get supplies from the military and bring them back because they can't go beyond the walls. No one else can because the creatures have been, you know, like infected by this pox thing. And it's told to be a gender reversed Lord of the Flies that's also with a female-female romance, and like I feel like there was no romance. There was just like one scene where they were like, oh, we like each other, and then like that was literally it, and it was okay. I feel like it was set up to be something so good, and the author didn't do anything with it. And then the ending, I was like, that's it. Some people love the ending. I was just like, there really is, that's the ending, and there's no second book. That's kind of disappointing. So I gave this 4 stars. I feel like it was more like a 3.5 for me, but it was still really engrossing, and there were parts that literally I had to put the book down because it was kind of gross, and I'm not that freaked out by gore, so yeah. I will go ahead and link down below all the vlogs I've done this month, because the next book I read was The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry, and I vlogged about it. This was the Pick What I Read Next for August. This is one of my new favorite books of all time, literally. This book is so good. It's a forbidden romance, and I don't really want to say too much about what else it's about because it could kind of ruin the shocking parts of the book. I went in completely blind. I had no idea what I was getting into, and it was so good, so heartbreaking. I cried in this book. Literally one of my new favorites. I already want to reread it again. Graham is a thriller writer, which is really cool, and our other main character owns a flower shop. So really, really, really good, and I loved it, and it was, you have to read it. 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. Then I listened to book 4, Ice Planet Barbarians, which is Barbarian Mind by Ruby Dixon. This one is our girl is actually kidnapped by someone not in the tribe, and I really love this one. This was probably my second favorite of the series. I gave it more like 4.5 stars, so it's still a 4-star to me. I think like near the end of a lot of these, it kind of like trails off, and I'm kind of like just like listening to get through it. The beginnings are where it's at. Love this series so much. Then I read Violent Delights by Jessica Hawkins. This one is a mafia romance, kind of like it's the Mexican cartel, and our main character has grown up in this kind of society, and she's always loved this one boy, but she's been away at college, and so she's back now, and she's trying to like make it okay for her to marry him, and then crazy stuff happens, and there's stuff that happens with her boyfriend. I don't know if you could call him boyfriend if they're really official. His brother, who has come back into town because he supposedly killed her mom. And so lots of drama, lots of action. Cliffhanger, definitely. This is going to be a trilogy. Books 1 and 2 are out, and so this is really good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then you guys will also be excited for this. I read Undeniable by Madeline Sheehan. This is a beloved motorcycle romance, and our main character is like 5 or 6, maybe not that young, when she first meets the hero of the book, who is like a lot older than her. I think it was like 18 years or something. I think it might be even more than that. And then we like flash through a lot of their lives together, and so her dad is the president of the MC club, and he, the hero, is part of a different club, and so they meet periodically, like when she is young, and when they meet when they're both visiting their dads in jail, when she's 16, 18, 21, and all that on. And I really enjoyed it. Definitely very, very, very MC. I didn't really like all the cheating that went on with our hero. Like, even though he was supposedly in love with her, he still cheated on her a ton, and she was basically like apple of everyone's eye. Literally everyone was obsessed with her and wanted to be with her, which I was like, I don't like heroines like that, because then like how realistic is that? But everybody in her life wanted her. Definitely a lot of action, A lot of romance. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read an e-arc of Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. This is highly anticipated by everybody after The Simple Wild last year. This one I got an e-arc from Atris, so thank you to them for sending me an e-arc. This one is about Piper and Kyle, and I really like this because it flashes back to when they first fell in love when Piper was 16, and I don't remember how old Kyle was. I think he was 17 maybe, working at a summer camp, so this is definitely very summer romance, and it reminded me a lot of those YA summer romances that I loved when I was growing up, but it flashed forward to when Piper is now like 30 and she is working her way up to be CEO of her dad's company. They are like a construction company. They like buy places and redo them. I don't know the lingo. And Kyle shows up as the security guard of her building that she works at. And she says hi, and he's like, who are you? She thought that he was the love of her life when she was 16, and so she's devastated he doesn't remember her, and the story goes from there. So definitely flashes back and forth between the past when they're falling in love to the present where they're kind of reconnecting. So cute. I gave it like a 4.5 stars. It was almost a 5-star read. I did think that the ending was a little rushed, especially in their emotional state, but I guess it makes sense though because of how close they were when they were 16, but super fun. I still love The Simple Wild better, but if you want a really good romance, you have to pick this up when it releases on Tuesday. Next, I picked up Love and Luck by Jenna Evans-Welch. This one surprised me so much. It's not really a romance. Our main character is going to Ireland for her extravagant aunt's wedding. It starts off like in the middle of the wedding at the Cliffs of Moher where her aunt's getting married, and then her and her brother are fighting because of something that happened before they left, and she was heartbroken by one of his friends. I guess they were really friends, but one of his teammates on the football team, and they are fighting over something that happened with that, and she wants him to stop it, and she's heartbroken, and she just is trying to forget, and he is still mad at her, so her mom is forcing them to get along, and if they don't get along, she's not going to let either one of them play their sports when they return home. She plays soccer, her brother plays football, and they are going to go visit her best friend in Italy, but plans go awry, and they end up going all around Ireland together, and this was actually so good. The beginning, I wasn't so sure about it. I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. Super cute. I was like, if they're really going to go to Italy, this is supposed to be in Ireland, and it was. They went all over Ireland. I just recently went there, so I loved reading about it. It was really good, and like the romance that did end up happening was super cute, but this is definitely more of a family driven book, which I loved. It's her and her brother just trying to figure things out, so really good. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I finally got through Ghost of the Shadow Market by Cassandra, Clare, and a bunch of other authors. This is an anthology of novellas or short stories that happen around the Shadow Market, and it follows Jem. And this took me a month and a half to finish. I started it in May, and it was okay. My favorite story was the longest one. It was The Land I Lost. It was Alec and Magnus's story, so that's why I think I loved it. I am not a huge fan of Tessa and Jem together because I think that Jem should have someone who chooses him first and not as a second place like he was with Tessa, but whatever. It was still a really fun anthology, but I gave it 3 stars. A lot of them I was just like really bored with, and that was the only one I really truly loved. I gave 5 stars, and the rest I was just like, okay, what's the point of that? So 3 out of 5 stars for this one. Then I listened to Ice Planet Barbarians book 5 and 6. So it was Barbarians Prize and Barbarians Mate. Gave both of them 4 out of 5 stars. Still really good. You guys don't need to know who they're about. You don't even know them, but the next book was super disappointing, and that is Maverick by Elle Wilder. This is book 1 in the Satan's Fury MC series, and our main character is in college, and she just is finishing up her exams or something. She's one of the stupidest heroines I've read ever. She is so annoying. So she was like buying some snacks at a grocery store or like some like gas station. Here's a scuffle in the alley. So she's like, I wonder what that noise is. Let me go check it out. And so she does, and she witnesses someone getting murdered by these 2 guys, and so she freaks out and runs home to her roommate and is like, I need your help. You're friends with MC people. Call them to help me because I witnessed a murder and these guys are gonna kill me. And so then she has to go and be protected by Maverick, and Maverick's the only one who can protect her. And so anywhere she goes, he has to go. Well, I don't know why. It just is the way it is, even though he's like the vice president or something of the motorcycle club. There were a couple times where she's like, oh, I heard something, so I went to check it out. And oh my gosh, guess what I found? Like, you're so stupid. Oh my god, the choices she made were really ridiculous, and I really didn't care for the romance or anything. It was super insta-lovey. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. Not interested in reading any more of this series. I met and got this sign from the author when I went to that motorcycle romance signing, but I'm just not a fan of this. Then I read an arc of Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I did pass my paperback arc off to a friend, and so this one comes out in September. This one is actually for Book of the Month right now, so if you want it a month early, go ahead and subscribe to Book of the Month. I'll have my link down below if you get your first book for free, and I also get a book for free. So it works out great. This one's about a girl whose sister was in a really bad car accident and pretty much shattered her leg, and so she's gonna come home to her sister's house and help her for the summer while she recuperates and drive her sister's daughter, her niece, back and forth to this Renaissance fair that she's volunteering for. She doesn't know her niece needs a chaperone, basically, to be able to volunteer. So she has to volunteer too. So she is a tavern wench, and she is hating the guy putting it on, who's Simon. He's an English teacher, and he is very driven and obsessed basically with the Renaissance Festival, and so it's their hate to love romance. It's so cute. I give it 4 to 5 stars, more like 4.5, not quite 5 stars yet. I do think it was a little bit insta-lovey at the end, but it was still super cute. I loved their banter. I loved how she was really thinking about her life and getting along with her niece and her sister, and like her sister talking about her life, and just the hate to love romance and figure out why Simon was so mean. It was so good. I gave it 4 to 5 stars. Then because Script hates me, I was kicked off, and because I listened to too much, and so I listened to the audio of Do Not Disturb by A.R. Torrey or Alessandra Torrey on my Overdrive account. This one was really boring, so I loved The Girl in 60, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This one, it's Diana / Jess again, and she is still being a cam girl, but she's dating the guy from book 1, and some guy is actually trying to get to her because she cuts him off from her cam website because he was being too aggressive. And so really boring until the end. It was so slow. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I just wasn't into it as much as I was in book 1. The next book I read was Falling from Gravity by K.K. Allen. This one is the novella to her new book that came out this month, and it's about a forbidden romance. This is when they first got together over spring break. It is our main character, who's a dancer, and her best friend's brother, who's a basketball player, and he up and quit basketball for some reason in college, and he doesn't know if he'll be able to do the NBA because he just walked away from his team and kind of went off the map, and she's trying to be a cheerleader for the basketball team in LA. This is when they first get together over spring break before the book started. I gave it 4 to 5 stars. It was a cute, fun, fast novella. We are getting there. The next book I read is One Fine Duke by Lenora Bell. This one is book 3 in the series. Again, I've only read this one. I didn't read the rest of them. I really love Lenora Bell. I read her other series. And this one is about a woman who wants to live a life of adventure, and her uncle, I believe, wants her to make a sensible decision when it comes to a husband, but she knows who she wants, and it's this guy who just has a really bad reputation, but she runs into his brother, and he is kind of wants her, and like he starts falling for her, and the more she spends with him, she kind of falls for him, but she tries to be as unattractive to him because he's actually the choice for her by her uncle, and so she has to choose whether she wants this man she's getting to know or the infamous brother who she hasn't even met yet, and there's kind of like a lot of espionage going on, spies and stuff. I love this. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was super fun, super action-packed, so good throughout the entirety of the book, and such a good romance. I definitely recommend this book. Then I picked up another YA book that's been pretty popular around the internet, and that is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This one is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and I loved how just like atmospheric this book was. It's by the sea. There's a lot of magic and whimsy and mystery going on. Our main character, her sisters have been dying one by one after her mom died, and people think that they're cursed, and so then she's trying to figure out who killed her sisters because people think that it's all been accidents or suicide. She believes it's not. There's a really cute romance. I gave this 4 to 5 stars though. I will say when there's a mystery, I hate it when the author solves it by being something that we literally could not have guessed because we didn't even know it existed. I feel like that's a cop-out because like obviously we couldn't guess the ending because we didn't know that was an option, so I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Then I decided to pick up the audio of Blood Fury by J.R. Ward. This is book 3 in the Legacy series. I loved this book so much. This was Peyton and Novo's story. This one was so good. I loved it. It was kind of like an enemies to lovers, opposites attract kind of thing. So good. I just really loved this one. And I loved how Novo reminded me a lot of Hex. So it reminded me a lot of Hex, like very strong, very kind of like more built, and so that makes sense if you read the series. So this is really, really, really good. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Can't wait for book 4, which is coming out this month. Then I picked up Defying Gravity, which is the actual book that follows the novella that I read. That was the prequel. This one came out in August and I got an e-arc. I sadly felt like this was really lacking, and I like the beginning. Like I said, she's a dancer, he's a basketball player, and this is like just a little bit after that happened in their spring break thing and like the sister finding out and stuff like that. So she goes through a lot in this book, and I don't like how she gives up on some things just because of him. When he made decisions he knew would cause her to have to give some things up. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It really slowed down, and I really wasn't into it, and I was just kind of bored. I really had high hopes for this. I love K.K. Allen as an author, but this one just was a miss for me. Then I picked up Royally Endowed by Emma Chase on audio. This one is about the sister of the woman in book 1, and so she has bodyguards because her sister married a prince who gave up his throne to be with an American, and this one is actually her story with her bodyguard. It starts out when she's in high school, but thankfully it fast forwarded a few years, so it didn't feel as like taboo because she was a little underage. So they really had a really long history. I think it was like 4 or 5 years that he worked guarding her. So I really liked this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I do think there was some action in here that kind of like was like bam, and it was over within like a page, and I'm like, what just happened? And so still give it 4 out of 5 stars. Really good romance, really slow burn. Forbidden romance because it's a bodyguard romance. Then I picked up Faker by Sarah Smith, and this one, Enemies to Lovers, was actually super disappointing. I gave her 3 out of 5 stars. They work in the same business together. He's pale, and she wouldn't let us forget it. She literally told us like 20 times how pale he was, so that was slightly obnoxious, and it was a lot of miscommunication that caused drama in their relationship, which I don't like. And I talked about this in my vlog for the reading rush, which I'll link down below, but near the end, it's not really spoilery, she realized that a girl he used to date looks like her, and so she accused him of having an Asian fetish, and he dated that girl 10 years ago. And I was like, girl, get over yourself. That's annoying. And so they were just annoying things that caused drama in their relationship, and they were over their enemies part like halfway through the book, and I like it when the enemies is like drawn out, because then it's like, well, they're not enemies anymore, so what are we doing here? So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars, pretty disappointed. This comes out in October from Berkeley Romance. Then on my way to a book signing, it was a 2-hour drive, so I listened to this on the way there and back and finished the entire thing, and that is My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This one was actually really cute. It's about a group of friends, and there's one girl in the group, and they all work for a university as professors / researchers, and they all are trying to find a date for this function. And what happens is they all decide to join a dating app, and our main character kind of ends up catfishing one of her friends that she had a one-night stand with, that they call a half night stand because he only spent half the night there and then left. And it's their romance, and I really did enjoy it. I do think it was annoying how she was the only really flawed character, and the love interest was kind of pretty perfect, and I've noticed that some people have been annoyed with that in romances, and so that's why I noticed that in this one. I wish she wasn't as flawed and was more open with people, but really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was really entertaining. I wasn't bored at all, and I listened to it like pretty much in an afternoon, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darlene. This was our book for our Fallen Men read-along. For our live show that we had, we're reading all of Gianna Darlene's Fallen Men books to celebrate the release of book 4 that's coming sometime this fall. This is Zeus's book. This is a forbidden romance. He has been talking to Lou since she was little, and he saved her from a shootout in the church parking lot when her parents didn't save her. And so it shows them writing to each other. Lou has cancer, and so she writes him in the hospital while he's in jail. And then she decides when she's 18 that she wants to be bad, and so she starts doing some bad things, and they reconnect. It's their romance. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely a motorcycle romance. So good. I just can't rave about it enough. It's forbidden, but it's oh so good. We have 2 more books. We're gonna get through this. I've already had to restart my camera because it shut off because I've been filming for too long. The next book I read was an e-arc, and that is Coming Up Roses by Stacey Hart. This one is about a girl who works in a flower shop, and the owner of the flower shop is, the shop's not doing well, so the owner has all of her children come home, and it's based off of Pride and Prejudice, so it's kind of like the Bennett children. They're called the Bennetts. Luke Bennett is our love interest. He's supposed to be like a version of Lydia Bennett. He is very eccentric. He goes by whatever he wants to do. He goes to California. He has jobs after job because he just gets bored, and she has hated him ever since he kissed her and didn't remember it in their past, and so he doesn't understand why she hates him. He's kind of drawn into her, and it's their romance while they try to save the flower shop. Very cute. I do think that I wasn't a big fan of his character. I feel like I didn't get to know him, even though we had his perspective. It switched off from his and hers. I just didn't really get him and why he loved her so much when he was so wishy-washy with everyone else. And it was a character in here that was sabotaging their relationship, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I still give it 4 to 5 stars. Really cute. I hope that there's more in this series. The last book I read this month was on Kindle Unlimited, and that is Queen Takes Nights by Jolie Sue Burkhart. I don't know if I said that first name right, but this is a vampire romance, and it's one woman with 2 men, and she figures out that she's a vampire queen. She's been living the past couple years on the run from these creatures that she knows are after her blood, and these 2 men come to save her one night and tell her she's their queen, and she realizes she's a vampire. And so this one is really short. It's just over 160 pages, and I feel like it needed to be longer. It felt like it was like a prequel to something. Not a lot was really discussed or happened. We just got like a really quick dip into this world and then it was over. And so I gave it 3 to 5 stars. I'm like, is this an actual book? It was really good, really romantic, if you get what I mean. And I liked it, but I wanted so much more to happen, for her to interact with so many more people, and it just kind of was there. And so it was like literally 2 days and that was it in an entire book. So it was okay. It was more like a 3.5. I almost gave it 4 stars, but I just wanted more. And that is my July wrap up. I read so much, and I probably will never read this much in a month ever again, but let me know down below what you read or what you're excited that I read. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.